York County is so much more than just a stop for gas along I-80. 17 County is filled with unique individuals with unique stories, just wanting to be told.
Welcome to another episode of 17 County Podcast, where we spotlight the people, projects, and progress powering growth across our region. From business expansion to community revitalization, we bring you behind the scenes of what's shaping our future. We're proud to recognize the organizations that make this podcast possible. A special thank you to the dedicated stakeholders investing in local impact. Central Valley Ag, Clutie Incorporated, Overland Ready Mix, Collins Aerospace, Meade Lumber Company, and Perennial Public Power District. We're also grateful for the continued support of our financial stakeholders, Henderson State Bank, Midwest Bank, and York State Bank, who help drive business sustainability across the county. Empowering innovation and reliability behind the scenes, we recognize K-Junction, OPPD, and Nebraska Public Power District. Your support fuels the stories we share and the future we're building together. Now, let's get into today's episode. Today's guest is Deb Robertson, a dynamic force behind some of the most forward-thinking work happening in York. As director of Kilgore Memorial Library, Deb is leading big-picture conversations, launching creative community projects, and turning bold ideas into action. From reimagining public space to building new partnerships and programs, her work is reshaping what a library can be. She's a connector, a visionary, and someone you'll definitely want to hear from, so thank you for joining me today, Deb.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, so when we are starting this podcast, I really want to take a dive into what it means to be a librarian. So many people associate librarians with books, right?
Yep.
But your role is so much more than that. It's so much more expansive. Can you share a little bit about what your day-to-day can look like?
My day-to-day is different every day. And if I make a to-do list, it never gets done.
Fair enough.
So, yes, that's just to be a librarian, though. You know, truly, in Nebraska, we have the State Library Commission, and their role is to, promote librarians and librarianship across the state. And to do that, they want it done well. And so they encourage us, we have to have continuing education time. And if you don't have the master's degree in library science, then you need to be a certified librarian, and there's coursework that goes with that they offer. And so on our staff, I have a master's degree in library science, and then we have 3 that have completed certification, and we have 3 more that are working on being certified right now. And we're only required for our accreditation process to have 4 of us with certification. So we'll be above again on that. So
very cool.
That's fun. But then also they also accredit libraries. They certify librarians and accredit libraries. And so for the accreditation process, then we are, step 1 is to do a community focus of some sort, and or a survey somehow to find out what it is the community looks for in their library, and then for the library to write a plan to meet those needs or work toward reaching out for those needs. So that forces us to be in the community, you know, and get to know the community so that the community knows and is comfortable giving feedback, So that's that's a major part of my role as the library director here in town, is to get out, be in the community, get to know people, and then, like you say, be a connector, because whenever I hear someone say, I wish I could, I'll say, well, you should talk to this one. They already do and maybe could help you with that, and stuff like that. So it's fun. I enjoy all of it,
Absolutely. So I know that you kind of alluded to some grant writing, community research or outreach. How do you think the role of librarian has changed?
Earlier this year in January, I did a talk at the museum. Can't think of the name of it right now.
Yeah. The Anna
Palmer. Yep. Yes, that museum, the one right. And so it was on the history of the library in York. And so how it has changed is one thing I learned by looking back at all the old documents that we have. I have minutes from the board meetings in the 1890s.
Wow.
When the library was established. So that's cool. But back in the day, the board did a lot of work. There would be, this one or that one took the responsibility of going to the bank or talking to a repairman for something with the building. Mm-hmm. And the librarian was focused on the collection and the patrons and, didn't take on all those extra responsibilities that I wouldn't mind if my board did that for me today. But, but it's just how things have changed. The librarian just really gets to do, it's really like running a small business, because you have to maintain the facility, the grounds, and have everything be safe and secure, and all of the guidelines with ADA or any of the other compliance things that you would do with a business, you have to do with the library also. So there's a lot of that, yes. And then grant writing is always, I see it as, if we want to do something extra and it hasn't been funded through our funding channels with the city or the county commissioners, then I look for grants and see where I can find opportunities to do something extra or, different than what we could do with just what we have in place already.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Man, just a couple things, not much, right? Just a few. Yeah. So one thing that I want to really highlight is I know that we've had kids that are possibly in high school, college, that are interested in a role like this. What would you say they should start, gaining skills in, and what should they start looking into right now?
That's another great thing that's wonderful about librarianship, is if you think about nonfiction in a library, it goes from the 0-hundreds to the 900s in the Dewey Decimal System, and all of those areas are areas that we need experts in. So in a very large library, someone would have their undergraduate degree would be in psychology or home economics, which I know, life skills, whatever. That's anyhow. All science, history, all of the genres or areas of categories of nonfiction. And then you get your library degree and you become a professional librarian, and then you focus with the business community if business was your undergrad degree. You focus with the health community if psychology or social work or whatever was your undergrad degree. So just think about all of the disciplines that there are in a college. Those at a university, there are librarians who have a master's degree in all of those. Not one librarian doesn't have all the degrees, but all of the librarians have different degrees, and they're hired because of their expertise in a field of study.
Interesting.
And then they also have a library degree, which makes them qualified to be the professional librarian, and then they are the liaison from the library to the College of Psychology or the College of Business or the College of Education, because they have that other degree that makes them able to speak the speak or talk the talk for that field. So it's a way that they get to continue their interest in whatever their other degree is in, but they also get to help new people as they grow and learn. So when a young person, I always go, oh, you are so wonderful. If you think of librarianship when you're young, there's so many opportunities. Think about Lincoln itself. There's the Poly Music Library. There's the Schmidt Law Library. There's, heritage libraries. There's the State Library. There's other museum type libraries, and Joslyn hires librarians in Omaha, so any field that you're interested in. I believe the Omaha Symphony hires librarians. Now that's a very part-time job, but it's a job a librarian can do. So just whatever your interest is and you have a passion for it, go for it. And then, if you want to work at a university library, it'll take a second master's degree. But if not, and I always tell young people, my first professional responsibility in the Nebraska Library Association was I was on the awards committee. We had a grant, and the two librarians from the music library in Lincoln, Poly, had a grant that they wrote because they had just recently accepted a donation of some French composer's music. Once they had the music cataloged and the world could see it and know about it, they started getting reference questions about the composer. They had nothing on that in their collection. And so their grant was that the two of them would go to France and do research on this composer. So, I mean, who would think that a librarian, that could be part of her job, is to do research on a composer in another country and bring it back to Nebraska. So
that's amazing.
So I say the sky's the limit, and you can do whatever you would like with your library degree, and have a specialty or an interest, or you can be like me and just be a generalist and enjoy everything and get to learn new things by doing research. When people ask you about something you don't know about, you learn it too, along with helping them get what they need. So it's fun. I enjoy it.
Very interesting. I didn't know that was how it looked. Interesting. Huh.
Yep.
So now we're going to move a little bit more into the advocacy realm. I know that you are pretty involved in advocacy for the library. What does that look like? What does library advocacy look like?
It looks like getting to know people and having them understand your world, and so that when the crisis happens, they are ready to stand up with you or for you, support you, and try to help your institution, which is the library for me, get back on track or where it needs to be, or the funding level return to where it was, or whatever they feel like they can do. So again, it's just relationships. And, then also staying, for me, I'm also the chair of the Advocacy Committee for the Nebraska Library Association. So that committee, I have a team of people who we monitor the legislature just like many other fields do, and anything that's about libraries, whether it's positive or negative, we monitor it. And then, when we need to, we go, to the hearings on different bills and stuff like that. And we've given input and feedback and, tried to get our information in the right place at the right time to defend ourselves. And we do that, to support all the libraries in Nebraska. So, there's public libraries, which is what we have here that we're talking about, but there's also academic libraries. So anything from community college through any university in the state, those librarians are supported by us, and school librarians, and then the institutional, the prison library here. The prison has a library here in York, and all the prisons do. So, anything that impacts a library, information literacy, the right to read, all of those things are things that we monitor on the state level. And then there's one of us that is involved and goes annually, or actually there's more than one. There's two people that go every year from every state to DC for an advocacy day for libraries every year. And was there in March when executive order had just recently been signed that it rearranges and takes away a major portion of federal funding for libraries in all of the country. So, we do that way. But then we also do outreach. We have one person who is doing training for citizens on, how to stand up for a library, what it takes, what libraries need, how to go to a school board or a library board, public library board, when books are being, discussed about whether they should be removed from the library, or, when someone attempts to ban a book, how to advocate for the right to read, and how, each person can make their own decision, and one person shouldn't decide that a book should be not available to others. So things like that. And so, we're trying to grow our team and get the word out that the best way to advocate for your library is to get to know your community and have them ready to speak for you when you might need some help with whatever.
Yeah. So let's say somebody's listening to this and wants to take advantage. You said there's a class or a training. How would someone go about finding that?
Talk to me, make it urgent so that I do what I need to do. I have had the gal from Lincoln who's doing these trainings mostly in Lincoln. She has been here once, and it was a public night, but, it wasn't anyhow, I had my board members came, which was awesome because they should be interested in this topic. But otherwise, yeah, I just need to bring it back. That brings me, though, to one piece that I came to talk about, which is the restructuring we're currently doing with our Friends group. The Friends of the Library is an awesome organization and has a lot of clout in this town. We have just had a membership drive, and it's always amazing how many people re-up their membership year after year, or even the new members that we're growing now. So that part is great. But that's one piece that I would like them to take on, is having a series on advocacy for libraries or the right to read type topic, and even First Amendment rights and things like that. So I know of resources. I just haven't tapped into it because it hasn't been as much of an emergency right now for me. So, but if someone comes and talks to me, it'll make it back on the top of my pile of things to do. So
yeah,
that's all it will take. So
absolutely.
Yes.
So you touched on a lot of different things that you guys are advocating for, but I want to kind of dive into just how wide-reaching what you guys are looking at really is, because literacy, digital access, are there any other key components that you guys really are focusing on?
Focusing on here right now? Okay.
Sure, or just in general is fine too.
Well, literacy, when we did recently we had the focus group day where we had Nicole from NPPD came in and facilitated 3 sessions for us. I had, in preparation for that, I had sent her some documents on, just to give her some background and keywords to use and things like that in her questions on literacy. And so I just used an AI client to generate it for me, and there were 17 different literacies that we could be looking at.
Wow.
We do, we do a good job on reading and getting books in people's hands, but it takes a lot of partnerships, because you don't want to go to, financial literacy class and see Deb Robertson, and then the next day you come and you're going to do a health literacy class and Deb Robertson walks in, because I'm not an expert on all the fields. I could do research and read some information, but if anyone's out there that wants to do literacy in their field, I would love to partner with them, and we could put some kind of a series together on all the different literacies and how people can become more self-serving in all those different areas of their world or their life. So, libraries really are interested in all the topics. One time I was talking to a group and I said, if I talk long enough to any person, I will find something that we can partner on, and it's just all topics work into the library, because information is necessary on all if you have a job doing something, you need people to understand about that. So let's work together to get the word out that your service is available. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And on the reverse of that, I always say, if someone comes to me and says that they have an idea for something, I think, you thought the library was a good tie for this, so that makes it should be, because you thought of the library, so let's make it so. So that's how
amazing. Yeah, a good public resource. Okay, so you recently launched future-focused community input sessions. What's the goal of those?
Well, the goal of those is really to find out what the community sees that they will need in the future. And future for this discussion is 5, 10, 20 years from now. What can people start seeing already in their realm that the library should be aware of, and start morphing our services toward, so that we're ready to serve those needs when they are common. So just to find out from the community what they see. The other driver for those sessions was the fact that we have a foundation. The library has a foundation, and that board has been reorganized in the last 5 years. So it's a fairly new team of people working together, and they have expressed that they took their role on that foundation to make an impact on this community. That, you know, we do have, you know, some money in invested, and, you know, they don't want to just count that money month after month. They want that money to count for something, and they want to know what it is that I need. I say, this isn't the Deb Robertson Library. Let's find out what the community needs. So that was another driver for it. Another reason that I want to hear from the community is our building is used all day, every day, and the collection has grown to the capacity it was set for when it was built in the 1980s.
Wow.
And so we, in our humble opinion, need more space if we're going to do more things, or something has to go away to make room for the new. And so that's where we are, and that's just another piece of input that I need is, you know, what do I need to focus on? What is a true community need? Not just something I perceive as, that would be fun, let's do that. You know,
right.
You know, so if anyone has tried to use our meeting room spaces for a meeting, they will agree that it's tight. It's you know, and then those spaces are used by the library staff also, and we are growing our programming because we have people who are willing and interested and able, and, you know, it's just amazing what our staff is capable of right now. And they want to use those talents, and they are, you know, so it's just, our spaces are just tight. So, you know, just trying to build the cause to say, we need more space.
Yeah.
And so be that squeaky wheel to be heard, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So this is going to be an interesting question that I'm very interested to know the answer for. So let's dream big.
Okay.
At Cornerstone Bank, we are committed to providing you the best in banking products and service. With 46 locations throughout Nebraska, we are dedicated to serve you. Cornerstone Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Today's episode is brought to you by York State Bank and York Medical Clinic. Let's get back to the podcast. Let's look, 10, 15 years into the future.
Okay.
What do you see Kilgore Library as looking like? Like, what could it be?
Mm-hmm. It could be, I hate to use the word community center because that we already have a community center, and it would be different. It would be more of a, resource center, literacy center, education center, but that's also a term that's used in other places. So, but a trend in librarianship in urban libraries, which will funnel down to the mid-sized libraries, of which, we call ourselves small, but in Nebraska, we're big.
Yeah.
Yep. If you go from Omaha down, we're number 20. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, I've asked Google to do that for me when I first came because I wanted to know. So yeah. So
Very
out
cool.
of hundreds, 20 is in the very top.
Yeah.
So we're a good sized town for Nebraska. But anyhow, but in urban libraries right now, they are literally hiring social workers to be on the library staff so that the needs of the people that come to the library can be better met by someone who has training on how to work with people who have needs, to get them connected with the resources in the town. So one way that I think the library could grow is to just be an expanded facility that would offer then spaces for the community resources, and in particular the social resources that we could use, maybe not permanently, but at least be that shared environment where a Department of Labor person could be in the building for a day, I can't think of all, maybe a tax preparation person during tax season could be there on certain days of the week. All those types of services that people look for, and York right now is kind of not. Those are some of the links or spaces that I can see we have right now. Missing services, maybe.
Right.
Those are little gaps. There we go.
Right.
That's the word I've been searching for.
Yes.
That maybe the library could fill by just having available space, and right now we have agencies using our meeting space to meet with their clients, so like any of the job retraining coordinators. The word is out of my head again right now. VR is the letters. Vocational rehab. There we go.
Yes.
They meet with their clients at our library, and another social service group that meets or uses our facility are when a family has to have observe visits, so we'll have, the social worker and the parents and the children in our facility for hours at a time. And, and then, our facility is one big space, so having some private space would be nice, and when the meeting rooms are available, we do let them or share them, but it's rare to find an open space. So, things like that. So is that something? And again, that would take the city deciding that that's a service the city wants to support with funding so that we can add that level of service in our community. So that's one way I see us going. Another way is, to add spaces where more childcare providing, maybe not a child care center, but certainly where groups could come together with youth, and then our resources are right there, and our staff, kind of overlapping with librarians and teachers and, all of the different things, but all the children come to one place, not all, because we don't.
Yeah, that'd be a lot.
That would be a facility. But, just having an area of the library, though, that is dedicated for the very young, and their caregivers, so having spaces with mother's rooms and family restrooms and, but yet then dedicated play areas. I mean, we have a nice area, but right now it's right out in the middle of everything else, so if we could have more of a true dedicated room or floor, whatever, it would be. Those are the types of dreams that I have. It's expanding the library to include other agencies that also obviously I think have some level of need for space, and just provide it from the library, but have it be that people can come to one place and get what they need, hopefully.
Right. Strong collaboration. Yeah, absolutely. As we look into the future, you guys have a little bit more of a short-term thing coming up, which is very exciting. You have some green space. Yes. What is that going to look like?
Yes. Well, that is hopefully going to have some grass here real soon. Yesterday, when that big gust of wind came through,
I know.
We lost topsoil that was just put out there.
No.
But it's what it is. But yes, already before, when it was just the one half of that space, the child care centers that are walkable would come and use it for playground space, especially in the summers when the elementary age kids would be there and they needed more space to be able to run, play games, so now I see it that way. A dream, but also going to be part of, my work for the next year is to figure out what would be used by the community as a stage, an amphitheater, a band shell, whatever the word is, that we could put, I say on the east end, which is 5th and Burlington side of the block, and have so that we can do some entertainment, some groups can come in, even, schools or whatever could come do little skits and plays, and then the green space where people could bring their own lawn chairs and blankets and whatever. And then on the 5th and Nebraska corner, I hope to have a substantial sign that says, this is Kilgore Memorial Library. We have it on 6th Street, but that doesn't help the people who are coming to the library and don't know our layout. So that would be, just having that house gone helps. You can see our front door now from when you're coming in, but so those are the two ends. And then I've seen picnic tables with awnings that are actually solar panels that
interesting.
then produce power enough that you could sit out in there with a laptop or even just recharging your phone, which is another service that we provide for the people that are walking by or coming through or whatever. And, we just, that would just be another piece that we could offer all the time. It would just be out there, wouldn't be just the hours we're open. So, yeah. So I just see it as a community space again to come and use, but it would also be a library space, and we ourselves are anxious to be able to go out and do some bigger things. So
that's really exciting. We don't have a lot of green space in town, so that's I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the programming that you have going on right now. I know you guys are really coming into a busy season. So what does the future look like?
Coming up, Monica, this afternoon, she came by, she's like, there's something we're doing with the university extension and homeschoolers. And so she's like, does this need to be on our public calendar? Because I'm running out of room,
Oh,
no. So I said, that's most families aren't going to, if their kids are in school, they're not going to be coming to this. So I think we can. So, our schedule is long. So that is what's coming up is we're going to hatch butterflies this year. We've done chickens and we've done ducks, and we've had a calf that we adopted that he came to the library right at the end on a trailer, didn't come in the building. But but anyhow, now it's butterflies that they're going to study.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that'll be fun, and that's coming up. We have a comic book company or somebody that's going to come and talk or show children how to draw and create a comic book. So that's a day coming up in May. I didn't bring all those pieces with me, but watch our Facebook channel and or our website for that kind of information. And then summer reading does kick off. For the youth, it's May 31st, I believe, or June 1st, right in that area. But we have accepted the challenge from Seward again for adult readers that will do the Who Reads More on Highway 34, or known as the Smackdown, which we've been smacked down more than Seward has, but that's okay. But this year, our staff has said we are winning, and whatever it takes, there's going to be incentive, and there's going to be prizes, and there's going to be games. So stop by. It starts in May. I want to say the 19th is in my head, but I'm not certain that's right. But but this year they have developed, it's a Monopoly game. So each time you fill out your punch card of 5 punches, you come in with that, and then they'll give you a little packet of little Monopoly pieces that you can add. And when you get all of the blue spaces, you can come in and grab the prize that goes with that. So
fun.
Gift cards and
what a good idea.
Little things. Yeah. Man. We have a very creative and very active group of staff right now that are just we are really going full steam ahead.
That's awesome.
And it's fun to see, and they enjoy doing it, so let them have fun. So very cool. So now we're going to get into a really exciting part. Okay.
No pressure. Quick fire questions. So first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
If you need to take a minute, I do too, so it's okay. But what is your favorite book recommendation right now?
A book that I love to recommend is Palaces for the People. I don't read a lot of fiction, but this is nonfiction, and it's a book that was written by a social scientist who wanted to know, why do people in inner city, urban cities, some, they just struggle and people die in their own homes alone and no one knows, and other communities right next door in the same metropolitan area thrive, and they're, people are healthy and different things. And so what's great about it is libraries are part of what makes a good community, because in a library where people come every day to read the newspapers or to play chess or for the knitting club or whatever the library has available for people to come together. If Bob doesn't show up, somebody checks on Bob.
Yeah.
Where in the other community, if the library is not open or not available or has closed or never had one, whatever, and it's not just libraries, it's any public space, so if one community, the empty lots are community gardens, that's a thriving community. If in another one, the empty lots are weed patches, nobody cares, nobody's watching, nobody sees who's around. And so people can, So, and then when palaces for the people is what Carnegie called his buildings when he built libraries back in the day when he was funding library buildings. So that's how the title came to be. So I always love how history meshes with present day and how you can figure that out. And I always wish I was the one that could figure that out, but I'm not. But anyhow, so that's one. But then recently I did read a fiction book, and it was called The Quiet Librarian, but it has nothing to do with the only part about that librarian is that the main character worked at a library. So but after that it had nothing to do. It was all a murder mystery basically. But I just really enjoyed it. The author, and I'm trying to think of his name, Eskins, I believe, I can't think of his first name, but is going to be at our state library conference this year.
Ooh,
and so we're doing One Book, Many Librarians. And so the committee said, maybe we should read his books before he gets here. So, so that's his newest book is The Quiet Librarian. And so that's the one I read. And, it's really good. It's one of those, this chapter's present day, the next chapter is in the 1990s. And she was in Bosnia, and it was during the Bosnian War, and how, all the hardships of being in those situations. And then in present day, she had come to the United States and was working in a library, but someone that she had met in the war era had come with her, and they lived close enough. But anyhow, her friend is killed, and so then they have to figure that out. So anyhow, that's a very that book I did enjoy, and it's not going to be our One Book, Many Librarians, because it's a hard read for a lot of people, but I enjoyed it. I think it was because of the historical tie
going
to
back
it.
and forth.
So
interesting. I'm intrigued. Okay, next question. What's the most underrated library service that people should know about?
Underrated that people should know about. Two are coming to mind. The first one is wireless printing. You can now come to the library with your device and go through a few steps and print. You can also go on our webpage and send a document to our printer and come pick it up the next day or in an hour or so. So that's one I think is very good, because when your printer just refuses to print, but you need that document for your meeting in 2 hours, you can drive by the library and pick it up on your way. So that's a fun one. And it is growing in popularity. It's just we haven't maybe marketed it like we should. And the other one is interlibrary loan, where if we don't own the book, but you would like to, read it or see it, you can ask us for it. And we have a system where we can request books from anywhere. Actually, in the world, I've never done an international request.
That would be interesting.
But yes, so we get books from all over the country for our readers, and and if it's a book that is new enough that we think others would enjoy, we'll just purchase it, and you get to be the first one to read it. But that's a fun one too that we could use more requests for.
Okay. Who is community leader, past or present, that you admire for their impact?
Sue Crawford.
Fair. That's totally fair. Absolutely.
Sue Crawford, however you want to take that. But she has just, in her short time here, made a huge impact.
She's amazing
on this community. And
absolutely
on
amazing.
My world in particular. I mean, she's so supportive and so encouraging. And so, you don't even realize you're working because you're just trying to help Sue or to make Sue, do something for Sue,
Yeah,
when you're doing what you do. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Sue Crawford is the city administrator for York.
Yep.
Yes. She is phenomenal. Yeah. A lot of respect for that woman.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is one fun fact that would be something that surprises people about you or the library? I know,
So
putting you on the spot.
Well, I guess a fun fact for the library is, we're open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. But if you have a need that goes beyond those hours, reach out to me. I have a key. We can do whatever needs to be done. And the building was built with that in mind. There are actually gates in the hallways that would close off the library from the meeting rooms that would make it so that people could use it during off hours. And so I encourage people to not be limited by the hours that we have staff, but just, but you do have to work probably with me. I mean, any of my staff know they can schedule someone to come in before and after hours. And I just need to be alerted. We lock people in all the time. Just know when you go out, you can't get back in. So
Right.
Don't forget anything. But anyhow, so that might be a surprise to some people, because usually a business hours is the business hours,
Right.
So
As someone who's utilized that and your meeting space a lot, you guys are so easy to work with too. You guys are so accommodating, which is not always the case with meeting spaces. I know those are really hard to finagle around. So a lot of appreciation there. So let's say that somebody's listening to this and they want to either get involved in the library as a teacher or on a board or whatever the case may be. How would they go about doing that?
Again, probably talk to me. If it's a teacher that wants to do something with programming, Carol Baker is our programming coordinator. And then Monica Tidyman is our public service coordinator, and her role includes programming for adults. So anyone, a target age over 18. But I'm always looking for ways to plug new people in. Or another area would be to join the Friends group and start, I'm truly, the Friends are awesome and they do a lot for us. But as any agency goes, you need new people. So that's where we kind of are with that group. I want to build a group of people who can just encourage others to use the library and to understand their rights with the library and that, advocacy role. But then I also would like to find a group of people who would like to build a series of speakers that would come regularly. Right now it's sporadic and you have to catch it, and we always have nice crowds, but I believe that we would have more people come if it was like every month on the third Thursday, you knew there was going to be a humanities speaker at the library,
Sure.
that kind of thing. So if we could get a group that was interested in that would work with me to get that scheduled and get those authors or those speakers scheduled in, I think that would be a great service that the Friends group could do for us. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And so to get into contact with you, how would they do so?
My email is my email is drobertson@cityofyork.ne.gov. Or they can call the library at 402-363-2620. That's the main desk line, and it rings the 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. that we're open. So,
Perfect.
And just ask for me.
Perfect. And if for some reason you guys don't catch that, you can always reach out to the YCDC and we're more than happy to direct you.
Sure.
So we are going to get to wrapping it up, but before we do you have any last words of wisdom or advice that you would like to share with people?
Well, join our summer reading group and help us beat Seward this year. That is, for those of you who don't know, it's just Seward's Public Library and York's Public Library. Just compare notes each week of how many adults read, by bringing the books back. We give punch cards and we keep track of how many books were read by adults in each community. And then at the end, whoever had the most books read is the champion for the year, and we have a homemade trophy of a stack of old books with an old trophy that someone found at an antique shop or whatever, and glued it all together, and that's what we pass back and forth. And it's just fun.
Yeah.
But it's also a wonderful program that encourages reading, gets people talking about reading, and so it's one of the easiest and most impactful programs that we offer from our library, so we enjoy it.
That competitive spirit. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep.
So thank you so much for joining me today. I know that you guys are incredibly important to our community, so I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. So just for people that are curious what our next episode is going to look like, next time we'll sit down with a business that's found a creative way to engage tomorrow's workforce and is redefining what professional recruitment can look like. Until then, stay engaged, support the institutions driving York forward, and we'll see you next time. That's a wrap on another episode of the 17 County Podcast. As always, thank you for joining us to explore the business leaders, community champions, and transformational efforts shaping our regional economy. A final word of appreciation to our stakeholders: Central Valley Ag, Clutie Inc., Overland Ready Mixed, Collins Aerospace, Meade Lumber Company, Perennial Public Power District, Henderson State Bank, Midwest Bank, York State Bank, K-Junction, OPPD, and Nebraska Public Power District. Your investment doesn't just support this podcast, it strengthens York County's momentum in innovation, growth, and long-term resilience. Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and continue supporting the businesses and partners that make our communities thrive.